KCAU 9 Sports.
What's poppin', Siouxland? Welcome back to Sports. A super Saturday of college football begins right here in Sioux City as the Briarcliff Chargers aim to start the year at 2-1 for the first time since 2019, taking on the Hastings Broncos. BCU caps off its three-game homestand with its matchup against Hastings, who took down the Chargers 44-35 last season. Briarcliff off 7-zip, defense stepping up, ball pops out, picked off by Blake Hogenkamp. First career interception for the East alum keeps the Broncos off the board. Hastings in the red zone later in the quarter. Drive capped off by Caden Merriman's 1-yard touchdown. This game is tied. Chargers constructing a big drive. How about a big throw from Brock Saya? Kamani Flurmy feeling himself on the grab, 45-yard tutty. BCU goes up 94 yards, less than 4 minutes to take a 13-7 lead. Hastings scores to tie it up in the third. Briarcliff connection of Saya and Flurmy strikes again. 4-yard score puts the home team in front 20-13. Broncos knocking a field goal to make it 2016. Chance to win it on the final drive. Carson Cudclick on a 4th and 12. His pass is picked off by Dayton Harrell. Good return from the North alum. Chargers defense comes up clutch with a 20-16 win.
Yeah, well, the play before, I almost gave a catch, and the ball should have picked off either way. And I was just thinking to myself, stay inside, because they're going to come back inside. And ball came up. I looked at the ball, and I had him boxed out like I was playing basketball. I was like, all right, I got to go get it. And then I wanted to take it back for 6, but then I had Max Rascone in my ear, go down, go down. So, ultimately, I went down, saved us to get the ball and, walk out here with a win.
I'm happy with how our kids fight. They believe, right? There was never a doubt in that game that we were going to win. Again, not as pretty as we would have liked, but we're making progress in the right direction. We got a long way to go still.
Up next, Briarcliff visits Mount Marty next week. Heading out to Yankton. Speaking of Mount Marty, it's Mount Marty Lancers hosting the Red Raiders of Northwestern. Lancers looking to remain undefeated. Scoreless in the first quarter, but eventually Lancers QB Rugby Riken, what a name, hits Rodney Broadnox in the end zone to put Marty up 7. Late in the second, it's 10-0 Mount Marty in an exciting exchange of possessions for both teams. Before half, this ball is picked off on the sideline by Arthur Oliver, but only moments later, Riken's pass was picked off by Luke Yeltma to end first half play. Lancers come out on top 24-14. More local college football scores. Dordt is on the road. And Dordt takes down Doane 41-0. That win means Dordt has outscored their opponent this season 107-7. In the American Rivers Conference, Wisconsin Lutheran 6, Buena Vista 17. Beavers secured its first win of the season. Up next, it's homecoming for BVU against Simpson on September 27th. South Dakota Coyotes hope to extend its 8-game home winning streak against Northern Colorado. Back half of the first quarter, and the Yotes are still trying to get something going when the handoff to LJ Phillips Jr. sees the running back charge 47 yards down the field. Sophomore running back isn't done yet. 2 minutes left in the half. Yotes are down 6-3. Phillips Jr. works his way another 40 yards closer to the house for another huge first down. Look at that stiff arm. It would be Phillips Jr. that would bring it home for the Coyotes. This 1-yard score would be one of Phillips' 301 yards on the afternoon. Coyotes take down Northern Colorado 24-17 in OT. Now Nebraska football is coming off its first shutout since 2009, following its 68-0 victory against Akron, turning its focus to Houston Christian with a chance to start the year 3-0 for the second year in a row. Huskers have won its last 8 non-conference games. This also marks the first ever meeting between Big Red and the Huskies. First quarter already up 3. Dylan Raiola finds Ja'Cory Barney outside the numbers. Barney would make it a 10-0 ball game. Exactly 3 minutes later, Raiola would hit Dane Key over the middle, who would pick up some yak and the score, making it 17-0. Into the second quarter, the shutout would continue with a quick Emmett Johnson carry up the middle, putting the Huskers up 24. Now the Huskies would be no match for the Huskers, and they would go on to win 59-7. In Arkansas, number 14 Iowa State is 1 win away from the program's first ever back-to-back 4-0 start. Cyclones visiting Arkansas State. Already up 3-0 in the first quarter, Rocco Becht is going to find room to scramble out of the pocket, taking himself, extending the lead to 9. The Red Wolves weren't going down easy. Cyclones down 10-9 before half. Becht drops a beautiful dime to Dominic Overby to make it a 17-10 ball game. Later in the fourth, Abu Sama lowers the shoulder and puts this one on ice. Cyclones lead Jonesboro with the 24-16 win. The final member of the NFC North to play was the Vikings taking on the Falcons for Sunday Night Football. And nothing says football is back like 7 field goals. Last check, the Dirty Birds were up 22-6, and I believe that was the final score of the game. Now up in Indianapolis, the Colts and Broncos found themselves in a horseshoe shootout. Midway through the first quarter, Nix would drop back, pop one to the corner of the end zone, finding Marvin Mims for the first touchdown of the game. Broncos take a 7-3 lead. Later in the second, down 13-7, Nix quick roll to the right, sends to Troy Franklin to take the lead. But late fourth quarter is when things took a controversial turn. Missed field goal by the Broncos gave the Colts one more chance to chew clock and drive down the field. But the kicker misses the 60-yarder. But guess what? The refs called roughing, giving the Colts 15 more yards to work with, and Spencer Schrader would knock that one down. Colts win it 29-28 on the walk-off. Now finally, it was also a phenomenal week in Siouxland sports, but now it's time to show you our top 5 plays of the week. Like I said, it was a big week, but let's lead off with number 5. We start things off at Briarcliff Saturday with the game on the line. Hastings tries to drive down the field, but it's Chargers' Dayton Harrell with the pick to put the game on ice, keeping the Chargers above 500. Number 4 keeps us at the cliff. This time it's the women's soccer team. Sadie Jones making the decision to shoot this one from downtown, sealing right out of the reach of the keeper for her first career goal as a Charger. Number 3, some Friday night lights action over at Dakota Valley. This pass from Lakota Tech rushed out of the end zone, tipped up in the air and caught by Jack Weiss, who then takes it into the end zone for a short yardage pick 6. Number 2, we heard his name called last week in the top 5, but it's Albert Van Zee from MOC through contact, making a huge toe drag catch on the sideline, moving the chains for the Dutchman. But finally, our top play of the week in Yankton, it's Mount Marty on the move. Jackson Washholtz showing off his concentration, catching this ball over the back shoulder while still keeping his feet in bounds and maintaining possession through the hit. That is a big catch and a big play. And with that, that wraps up our sports, and we'll see you after the break. Let's lead off with some high school softball in South Sioux City. The Cardinals hosted the Gross Catholic Cougars for a late season matchup. Not much done by the Cardinals on offense, but a few base hits. Then in the second inning, we see a nice steal at second by Brent Hoffman. It was the defense making the plays in this one. Center fielder Sky Palmer tracking this ball down, halting the Cougars batters who were having a field day. This game would be suspended after the third inning. Cardinals followed the Cougars 13-0. South Dakota Coyotes claimed their first win of the season on Saturday against Northern Colorado, winning 24-17 in OT. But that was not without the help of running back L.J. Phillips Jr. Phillips was named the FCS National Offensive Player of the Week after an astronomical showing on Saturday. In his first career start ever, the Wichita kid put up Madden numbers. Phillips carried the rock 35 times, picking up 301 yards and 2 touchdowns. That 301 is the second most a Coyote has ever rushed in a game. Now Phillips and the Coyotes will host Drake on Saturday. And over the weekend, 3 members of the GPAC were inducted into the NAIA Hall of Fame. One of the most notable was former Northwestern basketball coach Chris Corver. Corver spent 25 years with the Red Raiders, compiling 574 wins and 19 NAIA tournament appearances, 2 of those leaving home with a trophy. Along with that, Corver's tenure earned the school 6 GPAC tournament titles. Over the years under Corver, 49 players earned All-American honors, and they even saw 1 NAIA Player of the Year. But Corver was not the only Red Raider inducted. Becca Hurley was a 3-time All-American and was even named the National Player of the Year in her senior season. Hurley set a school record for most steals in the season with 102, which puts her in second for career steals with the program. Tonight also saw a doubleheader of Monday Night Football. First game between the Bucs and the Texans came all the way down to the wire, but Baker and the Bucs moved to 2-0 after winning 20-19. The other game, a classic AFC West matchup between the Las Vegas Raiders and Los Angeles Chargers. In the last check, the Bolts were up 17-6 in the second quarter.
And we're just glad we didn't have both of those games because we wouldn't be on the air right now.
No, we wouldn't, or it'd be late after dark. I don't know.
It would be very late. Thanks, Alex. We're back right after the break. A quick look